Hello, everybody. Zongetsu134 here.
As always, I'm Joe Squad.
And welcome to another episode of Remember the Hyphen, the show I look at comic books, movies, and everything in between.
Otherwise known as two dudes in a car.
Yeah. And welcome to a month in a galaxy far, far away again. And we're getting to my personal favorite, although I still think episode 4 is like the best one, but this is my personal favorite episode of the original trilogy. Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. Which also was the name of the video game Travis Strikes Again, with is parodying in No More Heroes.
And this is actually a movie we saw a version of in theaters during COVID, which was, we went and saw episode 5.
With Doug.
And I don't think Doug had watched any of the other ones. So we kind of had to fill him in.
Yeah. Which was...
But I was just like, I need to go see that because that's the original trilogy.
Yeah, no, that...
Even if it was the special editions.
That was so good in the theater. That was like one of the best theater experiences. Like the only one that was...
We should have put the other two back in, and then we would have went to all of them.
Yeah, the only one that I think that topped it was when we got to see Batman 89. I mean, I like seeing the original Superman movie in theater, but seeing Batman 89 on that fucking big screen was...
And you didn't want to go that night. I remember I had to talk to you, and I was like, Adam, when are you going to be able to say you went and saw that in the theater?
Which one was that?
Batman 89. When are you going to be able to say you saw that?
No, I remember that. I had to talk you. I had to talk you into talk me into that. I think it's because I was a little
because it was during COVID.
Yeah, I was a little gun shy about going on COVID. But then you and I were the only ones in there. I'm like, I don't know why I was worried.
Adam, this is like a private show.
No, that was it was a private showing for us when we went to see Empire too. That was
that was fun.
That was really fun. So I really like this movie because I really like I think it really gives more of a scope into just how big of a threat the Empire is. Like, because, like, I love episode 4, but, like, to be fair, we only really deal with the Death Star in that, we see, like, one Star Destroyer. But in this, we get, like, a really good feel of just how vast the Empire is. Like, you really get the feel of this rebel alliance that can barely hold their own against this massive force. It also introduces probably my favorite Star Wars character, Yoda, played by the legendary Frank Oz of the Muppets fame. If you ever hear Fozzie Bear, his Yoda is basically just Fozzie, but saying everything in
backwards.
And then which fun fact about that, the planet Yoda's on is called Dagobah, right? It's technically canon to Power Rangers. In an episode of Power Rangers in Space, they say they're gonna go look for Zordon in the Dagobah system. I'm not kidding. That is an actual fucking thing they say in Power Rangers in Space.
I could have lived my whole life without knowing that.
Which also means the Ninja Turtles are in canon with Star Wars.
No, I don't fucking care. That's not canon. I don't give a shit.
I mean, to be fair, like I make jokes, but like
I don't give a shit.
The Shredder, canon. The Shredder is basically just a parody of Darth Vader, but if he was fused with a cheese grater. Like Kevin Eastman and Laird have actually stated that.
Getting back to actual Star Wars now, but
I'm sorry I ruined your life.
Why would you tell me that?
I just thought it would be a fun little thing for you to know about.
That's what this man does. He just finds new and creative ways to hurt me.
Yeah. He says while we're doing his
doesn't
fucking
laugh at any of my jokes. Anytime I try to joke, it's always fuck you. You're not funny.
I think you're cute, but you fucking ain't. But
anyway.
Wow, this got to be really angry all of a sudden. I don't know why. So I just realized I never put the top of
your anger.
Use that anger. Wait, that's the wrong movie. That's the wrong movie.
Makes you stronger. Anyway, I think the biggest thing with Empire Strikes Back that a lot of people remember, like in terms of iconic scenes.
Yeah.
I think there's two that really stand out. Now, if you've seen the movie, you know what they are. Or even if you haven't seen the movie, you probably know what they are because they've been parodied to death.
Oh, and also spoilers.
I'm not gonna fucking tag spoilers for a fucking movie that's over like 30 years
No,
old.
I know. I just remember there used to be people. I used to know people that would actually get mad if you said that about the ending while you were watching it.
I'm just like, the movie's been out for like decades now.
Almost 4 decades. Get fucked.
Get fucked. How do you not know that?
Like, it's been parodied for years.
Anyway, the one I'm first referring to is the Battle of Hoth.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've always seen a lot of people talk about that as a very, like, nostalgic thing for them. It's been done to death in the video games. I mean, it's in Star Wars Battlefront 2. It's the opening level for Shadows of the Empire, the game.
There's like a whole eepisode of Codename Kids Next Door that is just Empire
Yeah,
Strikes
it's been done to death. It's one of the most, I would argue, iconic battles in all of cinema, probably. Just in terms of, like, again, how much it's just been parodied.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I love the battle on Hoth with the snow speeders and the AT-ATs. Like, I also really love the snowtroopers. I don't know why I love them so much. I think it's because they got like the little cape thingies in the front.
Yeah.
But I love them. Honestly, I think Hoth is just really neat just because of like they're on like this all ice planet. Like there's like a lot of really interesting like stuff. Like I love the Tauntauns and the Snow Beast and like I love that probe that the Empire sends out. I don't know why. That fucking little probe with
just the Imperial probe droid.
Yeah, those probe droids are just interesting to me, and I don't know why. But and I'm guessing I know what the next scene you're going to talk about is.
No, I am your father.
That's not true. That's impossible.
Like how we just make fun of Mark in that scene, and everybody loves that scene. Like we're not actually making fun of him, we're just poking fun at the scene. But that is probably arguably the most iconic scene in all of Star Wars, I would argue.
Also probably
that one. I mean,
yeah.
Even though most people, if they've never actually seen the movie, they quote it wrong. And it's always like, Luke, I am your father. He doesn't fucking say that. He says, no, I am your father.
Yeah, that's like I think one of the original Mandela
effects is that people misremember that.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I kind of get why, because, like, you know, the whole point is him revealing he's his father. So probably a lot of people are like, in their head, they're like, you know, no, or Luke, I am your father, because.
Yeah, that's not how the scene plays out. But, I mean, talk about a plot twist.
Yeah.
I would love to see that's like, when we get time machines and they're possible, I almost want to go back and just go to an opening night of that.
Yeah.
And just watch the reactions on everybody.
Also, no lie, it's probably one of the best twists, like, ever put to cinema. Like, it makes so much sense, and, like, even though it's not really telegraphed anywhere else, it just works really, really well.
Yeah.
Like, especially because, like...
Well, and that and, like, with the way the movie is shot and, like, everything up to the ending, we're almost left in, like, this suspense. Is he telling the truth?
Yeah.
You know? And then we had to wait for Return of the Jedi to really get some closure on that.
I also have to give them a lot of credit for really setting up the idea that Leia is Luke's sister and that she herself is also a Jedi. Like, that, like, they actually do a really good job of actually starting that here, and we actually get some closure to it in episode 6.
Even though there's that weird-ass scene where they're kissing. That is still weird as shit.
Well, I just assume Alderaan is like the Georgia of the galaxy.
That's Tatooine. Tatooine's the Alabama.
I mean, Tatooine's more like the Jersey of the...
No, it's Alabama. Naboo is definitely Jersey. Enough swamps.
I guess that's fair.
But anyway,
Pennsylvania.
But cause I've actually read that there were theories going around at that time before the release of 6 that no, he's not telling the truth, he's lying. And I'm just like,
which I'm like,
it's interesting to see that was what people were theorizing. Like, they were like, there's no way that he's telling the truth on that.
But like you know, that when Vader's like, search your feelings, like, you know, like the Force probably does give him that idea in his head, and it also makes sense given like that scene on Dagobah when he fights that in that dream, you know, and it reveals that Vader's face is Luke's, implying their connection.
Also, Vader's Dad of the Year because he chops off his kid's hand because he won't fucking listen.
Oh, him chopping off Luke's hand is one of like the roughest things you'll ever watch. Like Hamill really gets across that is painful. Also, probably one of the best lightsaber duels is in this episode. Just like, even though like Luke gets his ass beat, it's like you can tell that like in this
the Force is with you, young Skywalker, but you are not a Jedi yet. Like, it's just, like, in the way they shoot that, like, you know, where he's in the shadow, and then just the lightsabers get ignited, and it's very beautifully shot.
Yeah, oh, that scene where they're dueling around the what's the name of that? The carbonite tank. That is...
The carbonite chamber.
The carbonite chamber. Like, that is peak cinema right there.
The lighting and framing of that scene is so well done.
Yeah, it like literally looks like Luke has gone into the bowels of hell to fight like the devil.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's So well done. Of course, the other big character that was introduced in this the one and only Boba Fett. Character who's
no good to me, Dad.
Remember, no disintegrations. As you wish.
Which everybody has now theorized that is a reference that he's actually the one that killed Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru in episode 4.
Yeah,
because they're pretty disintegrated in that.
Yeah, I also want to see the Marvel Comics establish that with the fact that like Vader hired Boba Fett to find out who was the rebel that took out the Death Star, and then of course he learns.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
Which that comic is really really good. As someone who's read some of that is a really great comic. And of course, the other great character that was introduced to this, old Billy D. Williams, is Lando Calrissian.
You dirty, no good smuggler. You got a lot of guts coming here after what you pulled. How you doing, you old pirate?
No, I
love Lando to death. Lando's awesome. I actually have original paperbacks of the Lando Calrissian novels from the 70s.
Yeah.
Fucking love Lando.
And I know I made
those books are not very good.
I still don't understand who was the director that was like, hey, we should have Lando in Holland's outfit at the end when he's taking the
I don't understand that.
It's so weird.
I don't even think there's an in-canon answer for that.
Yeah, like that was so weird. I never understood who thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, but
unless the idea was like Harrison Ford was wanting out at that point, and they were like, well,
I mean, Harrison did want Han to die in episode 6.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Lando. I really wish still that we would get a fucking Lando Calrissian show.
No, I know. Like I don't
like why is Disney dragging its feet? Give me what I want. I need some more of the Billy D action.
Like he's one of those characters that I honestly want to see more with him. It's not like with Boba where I think at this point I think they've overplayed.
Especially if he comes out and he's like, "Hey, this is Lando Calrissian. I'm here selling Colt 45,
smoking a death stick while he's doing it."
For anybody that doesn't know that reference, Billy D used to sell a beer called Colt 45.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious.
Which
I don't even think you can buy it anymore.
Yeah. Well, malt liquor is disgusting.
Yeah, I don't think you can even buy it anymore.
Yeah, malt liquor is
specifically
disgusting.
the version they were selling. I don't think it's the same thing.
Like
was the Colt 45 that's out there now.
Like I've had a malt soda, and that was one of the nastiest things I've ever put in my mouth. And I've had an alcohol called the Kraken, but no, I like honest to God, I think Lando steals pretty much every scene he's in this movie. Like he's so charismatic, and like you really do want to see more of him. Oh.
I love the scene when he's getting choked by Chewie.
Oh, Chewie, yeah.
And Leia's just got the crazy ass eyes next to Chewie choking him. I don't know why, it's always amusing to me.
Yeah.
It's like, she inherited the crazy eyes from Anakin.
No,
I think I had a picture, I had cropped it.
Yeah.
And sent it, and it was a reaction meme for a while in the chat. Yeah. was crazy-eyed Leia.
I also think this is also where we really establish how the Force works in this movie. Like the fact that you can levitate things with your mind, the fact that you can like sense people's presence. I mean, granted, they did that a little bit, but like in the first film, it was very nebulous what exactly the Force could do.
I know I've read a lot of accounts from people that were alive back then that went and saw it.
Yeah.
And a lot of them mentioned that they thought like. They look back at it now and they consider that like as close to like a religious awakening as they ever had, was like watching that, watching Yoda explain the Force and everything. Like, so that kind of shows how much of an effect that had on like that generation growing up with those films originally.
Yeah. Like it's still amazing that scene when you watch Yoda lift the X-wing out of the swamp.
I don't believe it.
Judge me for my size, did you?
I don't believe it. That is why you fail.
No,
I'm just like everything Yoda does in that is just perfection.
Yeah. No, like Yoda is done so well here.
Also, he's funny as fuck.
Yeah.
In that beginning, like when he's in the box with the light. I don't know why. When I was a kid and I used to rent that from Hollywood Video, I used to rewind that scene constantly because it was fucking hilarious.
Also, isn't there a scene where he like smacks R2 with his
his
he
cane? Picks up the cane, just starts fucking smacking him. It is so funny. I'm just like, literally, he's sitting here just trolling everybody.
No, I like he is so fucking amazing in this film, and he does so great at teaching Luke, even if it's very small little things, like you know, when he wants Luke to lift that rock.
Tree. You know, he's pointing out everything.
Yeah. Or when he's like trying to lift the rock, he's like, "I'll try, do, or do not. There is no try." Which, I mean, to be fair, that's one of those like. It was one of those life lessons you really do learn.
One of those quotes that's just kind of come into the public culture and become really ingrained.
Yeah, like,
because I know we've quoted that at work before.
Yeah. Like, and again, credit to Jim Henson for the puppet effects he does, especially in the Dagobah scenes, because those are like really, really good. Like, I love that they actually built like a house about Yoda's size. Like, even Luke has to like crouch around to get in there. Like, it's such a well done like and made like set. It's so great, you know. And of course, led to one of your favorite memes where they have Yoda singing about "I can be a backpack while you run."
Oh my god! If you haven't ever, if anyone out there at this point in time has never seen the Yoda Seagulls video, please stop the video right now and go look that up. Like type it up here, Yoda Seagulls. It will come up. It is hilarious as hell.
Yeah, because it
is so catchy.
Whoever did that, the editing on that is really, really good. Like, they really did well at the timing for editing that. But you want to talk about anything else? Other scenes you want to talk about real quick that were
again, John Williams and the London Symphony Orchestra, everybody.
Because this here's the first time they ever did the Imperial March, which eventually just became Vader's theme, despite the fact that that's not his theme.
Yeah, so the score here is again phenomenal. I wish I had it on vinyl. Maybe when we go up to Erie soon, maybe I can find a reissue of that, because I know they pressed it again really recently on 180 gram vinyl. That and Return of the Jedi would be two scores that I would really love to have, because I have the first one, like the original Star Wars one.
Yeah.
And then ironically enough, I have the story of Star Wars and the story of Empire Strikes Back, which is just like the entire movie on an LP.
Yeah.
And it's actually really cool. Next time you come over to my house, I'm gonna have to play you some of that.
That'd be fun.
I'm pretty sure you can find them online too. I think they're on YouTube now.
Also, I feel like Lucas got a lot of people's feelings on C-3PO, so C-3PO just gets the shit beaten out of him and ripped apart.
And either shut him up or shut him down.
No, but to be fair, I feel bad for that, because I don't hate C-3PO, but I get why a lot of people don't like him. He is obnoxious. Like, he's not Willy from Temple of Doom annoying, but he gets there sometimes.
Yeah, I love how much character they not only give our main cast in this, but they all, like, some of the other stuff, like R2 gets a lot of characterization in this.
Yeah,
the Falcon does. Like, I love when they're trying to leave and Han goes in there, and, you know, he goes in the cockpit and the lights kick on, then they shut off again.
Yeah,
fucking kicks on.
No, I fixed that. And then later, Lando's
said you wanted to be around. I was wrong. I take it back.
I also like when Lando's like, he didn't fix it. Like when the hyperdrive fails again. Yes. Isn't there a scene at one point where they talk?
I love the scene when they're in the asteroid field.
Oh yeah.
You're not actually thinking of going into an asteroid field, are you? Sir, the odds of successfully navigating an asteroid field are approximately 755,000 to 1. Never tell me the odds. The
line that everyone's like, that Christianity exists in the Star Wars universe, then I'll see you in hell. Which I'm like,
no, I really love too, like the romance that really blossoms in this between Leia and Han is honestly one of my favorite relationships in Star Wars.
Yeah, the chemistry between those two is really good.
It's one of my biggest complaints of the sequel trilogy is that it's like, oh well, they're estranged now, and I'm like, and it's not even done as well as it was in like the the New Jedi Order series books.
Yeah,
it's one of the reasons I've written the sequel trilogy off almost altogether. Is just because I'm like, I don't know if I really want to revisit movies where that is the ultimate outcome of that, because I love that relationship so much.
To say nothing of how they just off Han in like the first film of that trilogy, like it's.
And then he comes back as a Force ghost in ninth, which I'm like, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Because he didn't believe in the Force.
You know, they were like, Harrison, we got a blank check here.
That awful line where Ford's like, that's not how the Force works. I'm like, motherfucker, how would you know?
I actually love that line.
I do and I don't. It's one of those ones where it's funny, but at the same time, if you remember how he didn't believe in the Force in these films.
Well, it's obviously him having a kid that is also force sensitive and having a brother-in-law that is
I guess that's
Grand
true.
Jedi Master changes how you feel.
I guess
because
that's
even he
true.
went through that in the Star Wars original expanded universe. He actually went through the same thing.
Yeah.
And in that universe, he had 3 kids that were all force sensitive. So I don't think he had an option anymore.
I know.
It's just funny, but no, I really love the way Harrison and Carrie play off each other in this. I feel like they had a lot of chemistry, and I think it really showed both in the film. Mm-hmm. Not to mention they were actually dating at the time. And I think it's if you read Harrison's book, I think, or it might. I can't remember whose book it was. It might be Carrie's, where Mark Hamill just fucked with them the whole time, and it was hilarious as hell. Like, it'd be like 2 a.m, and Harrison would be sleeping over at Carrie's place, and Mark would just show up. Hey guys, want to go get breakfast? Or like they'd be out parking somewhere, and he'd pull up behind him. Hey guys, fancy having you together. It's amazing Harrison didn't just murder him.
I swear to God, Katie, you're funny as fucking one of my closest friends, but you keep cock blocking me like this, and you're gonna meet Shiva in hell.
But yeah, and this honestly, as we mentioned last episode, because I noticed we didn't really talk a lot about Mark Hamill's performance as Luke in episode 4. I think 5 is really where Luke kind of comes into his own as a character. Yeah. Because as you mentioned, with 4, he kind of relies almost on everyone else, like either through Ben or, with later Han. Connection, like going with Han or Princess Leia. Here he really starts to kind of just develop as his own character in a way that obviously reaches its peak in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. Also, which is something I don't think a lot of people talk. I really love his relationship with R2. So I really love how much of a friendship Luke and R2. Like, R2 is like a sassy, sarcastic motherfucker like everybody else, but he sticks by Luke so. Like, point of contention for me with the new sequel trilogy, I hate the fact that R2 is just offline and just on the Falcon. I'm like, why the fuck would he not be with Luke? Like that's one of those things that really annoys me, just because R2 was so dutiful to him. I don't know. It really annoyed me that R2 was just with the Rebel Alliance, but offline. Because I know it's a setup for that map that leads to Luke, but at the same time, I don't know.
I hate to be overly critical of something, but man, the more I rewatch the original trilogy, the more I'm just disappointed with the sequel trilogy. Yeah.
And also, speaking of here, R2-D2 is funny as fuck in this. I love that scene where he's stuck under the swamp and he just puts the little eye thing up and he's he's I want to envision him with all the BB, he's just grumbling oh, go to a swamp, go to Dagobah, meet Yoda. He said, "Fuck, motherfucker, if I don't get out of this fucking swamp right fucking now."
Yeah.
Or when he's getting smacked by Yoda, it's motherfucker, you are.
I am 2 seconds away from putting a cap in your.
We used to be friends. I know you.
You know who the fuck I am.
Oh God, can you imagine? R2's dealing with him
it was probably the same thing the previous one. It's I can't remember seeing ever owning a droid. Motherfucker, you know
who I am. I went through the Clone Wars with you and Darth Vader.
Motherfucker, I saved your dumb ass on Naboo.
I was the best astromech droid you said you ever met. I am hurt.
Yeah, it's just things that are funny in hindsight, honestly.
But no, I really love his relationship with R2. The two of them are best friends. It's almost like a boy and his dog in a weird way, if that makes any sense.
No, that actually makes a lot of sense.
No, it's one of the reasons why I think R2 has become so beloved, and why the astromechs have become so beloved. It's just purely because R2. To the point where the astromechs became a thing much more in other media, the fact that you have one in Knights of the Old Republic. Although I know that's not an actual astromech. It's the isn't there an astromech?
T3, yeah, he's an actual astromech.
Oh, he's an actual astromech. He's just an older model.
Yeah, he's just an older model.
Okay, I didn't know if they were actually called astromechs.
No, they're astromech droids.
Okay, fair enough. I love their relationship, and it's kind of weird. No one really talks about those two as their relationship.
It's something most people don't think about.
I guess that's true. Commentary, you get brought up and remember the hyphen though. I also really love how much character we get with the other bounty hunters, even though they're only on that one. I love all their designs, IG-88, the assassin droid. Although you can tell he's basically just a statue because he can't move because they didn't have the budget for it. The one really ugly looking.
Who, Bosk?
Yeah, Bosk
with a yellow jumpsuit,
or not Bosk?
Zuckuss.
Yeah, the one with the weird the butt lips.
Zuckuss.
Yeah, Zuckuss. Like I love
Zuckuss and Forlom. Forlom is the droid with him.
Like I just love all the character you get out of those bounty hunters, and like they don't even say anything. They just like you can tell like their character just by looking at them, which I think is really good character design.
And I think that's something all three of the original Star Wars movies really excel at, is showing, you know, without either telling you really or like overbearing with it. You know, it's kind of like they show you enough to kind of get your imagination going.
Yeah.
And then kind of like let it go from there.
Because that's one of the things I always love crediting with. Like they always tell you things like, and it's through like little bits of dialogue, but like it's dialogue that doesn't over-explain stuff. Like going back to episode 4 real quick, you know that scene where Luke's like that two diameter, that doesn't seem that bad. Like I was able to shoot Womp Rats with my T30X, and that they're only about that size. Like I love that, implying that like Luke already had mastery, like some ability.
Yeah,
with the
it's
Force.
just inferring stuff that happened off screen,
and it's nice that they infer it without having to like get really explainy and like. Because like sometimes that's one of my problems with Star Trek, where like they will explain things even though like that should be shit they already know because they live in this universe. Like I hate that kind of exposition where it's like, well, basically like as you already know. It's like, yeah, I know you're telling this for me, but it's why are you guys explaining this? You guys should already know this shit. Like there's a scene in Star Trek where Bones brings up the eugenics wars. I'm like, shouldn't all of you know what that is because it's taught to you in like school? That's like your history. But you know what I mean, right? I hate exposition like that, where like they have to explain things that they should already know,
or they do it in a way that just doesn't feel natural. Basically,
yeah. That's my big thing with. But like here, the exposition is great because it like Lucas clearly gets like you'll be able to pick it up even if you don't explain it.
Exactly.
You know, and what does need explained is done to Luke because he's the one who basically lived on a desert planet his whole life and doesn't know a lot. Like, that's why, you know, it works so well for Yoda explaining the Force to him, because he's actually explaining it to us, because Luke is the audience proxy. Which is a great moment of storytelling. Now, if you have any flaws with this film, what would you say would be?
I don't really know if this was a critique, but out of any of the three films, I would say this one kind of ends on like the most somberest note, I guess. You know, with Han being captured, you know, they got to go find him, and you know, the secret unveiled to Luke that, you know, Darth Vader is his father and he's lost his hand, you know, but there's still that element of hope at the end, you know, as he and Leia are on the hospital ship, you know, like watching Chewie and Lando go off to start trying to look and find out where Han went. Like, so like I don't even know if that's really a critique, but it's definitely the most somberest ending of any of the original three trilogy movies.
Yeah.
But again, that's not even really a critique. I actually don't know if I have any critiques with this film. Like in terms of just things I think are negative.
I don't know if I really call this a critique for me, but it is kind of funny. Like after Hoth and Dagobah, like most of this like the places we're in are basically just rooms. Like we really don't get to see it. Like one thing I've always kind of been annoyed. Like I wish you could have seen a little bit more of Cloud City to kind of get the feel that it's actually a city instead of just like five rooms.
I can kind of get that, but I almost wonder if that was done on purpose in a way that they were like. They shot them in very confined spaces to kind of show, like, you know, like, you know, they're on the run. You know?
No, I do get that.
I wonder if that was done intentionally or not, or if that's me reading into it.
Like I said, that's not really a critique for me. Like, it's just something I wish we could have gotten an actual feel for, like, this, like, Cloud City was an actual city.
Yeah.
Because, like, with Hoth, you get the, like, Hoth, Dagobah, Tatooine, Yavin, like, the Death Star. You really get the scope. Like, that's like and to be fair, it's not really like a nitpick, because I do like the cinematography in that. It's like the only thing that I could, like, it never, like, sometimes you don't feel like Cloud City's really like an actual city.
Yeah. One thing I really like about the Cloud City sequences, that's one of my favorites, is when they're trying to get to where Slave 1 is parked. I don't give a fucking shit what anybody says that ship's name is Slave 1.
I'm sorry, that's the
fuck off.
That's the stupid.
Anyway, I love the scene where they're trying to get to that to the landing pad.
Yeah.
You know, and like, you know, the way they're like, you know, they're fighting through corridors and like it's the way it's shot is very tight, but I think it works, and I think like the confined space they're dealing with really helps the scene, because not only does it give again that confined space idea where it's very compact, you know, because like there's only so many places they can run because the Empire's right on them.
Yeah.
But not only that, I think it really shows just, you know, like how they're trying to move fast basically to do this. Like, you know, it really does a good job of giving the sense of time.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I also really love the way they play the Imperial March when Vader reveals that Luke's his father, and they play it really slow, like dun, 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 like it really hammers in the effect of that reveal, I think, very, very well. Also a little bit of trivia there. Apparently that was all ADR'd in because they didn't even want like Hamill to know the actual revelation in that scene. Apparently, so they had them like they gave them different dialogue, and they only knew that when they were going into the recording studio to record the ADR for that scene. Because apparently it's like slightly different when they were filming it because they didn't want leaked that Vader was Luke's father, because that was like I said, that was like a big thing. Like I actually like I said, I know a lot of people who were. It was almost like the like Snape killing Dumbledore from Harry Potter 6, like where like someone like was like, "Don't you fucking spoil this for me." It's kind of funny talking about this movie when you realize how it kind of was like the start of like the big nerds gather at the cinema and like wait in line for hours to see this film.
Well, especially after I don't think anybody really thought how big the first movie would get.
Yeah.
Until they saw, like, you know, you had people coming to the theater to see other showings of it, and like, you know, they were doing costume and stuff, and they had seen it so many times, they were doing the lines and the dialogue and stuff. So I kind of really agree with you. I think the very base of like fandom that I think Star Trek really set. I think it got
because I was about to bring that up.
I think it was really taken to the next level by Star Wars, honestly.
Because, like, Star Trek kind of started the idea of, like, and forgive me for using the term.
Very intense fandom, basically.
The fandom and, like, the nerd culture, as it were. I think that was really what really brought it into the public eye and what made it as big as it is now was Star Wars. And especially this film. You know, like, because we always joke about, you know, seeing news, like, stuff from, like, on YouTube of, like, people waiting for The Matrix 2, or, like, the people that stood in line for Episode 1, but really, the idea of, like, these movies being important to, like, the culture, and, the idea of, like, you know, people that, like this sort of thing aren't just, like, you know, minor things in the background. Like, this really catapulted the idea of that, I think. And it only got more crazy as the 80s and 90s went on.
Yeah, definitely. And then I think, like, I'm trying to think how to really put this into words. I think Star Wars was that thing that could basically transcend the different categories of people watching it. I think that was really one of the first things that was able to do that, because obviously we had the really hardcore fans, but then you had kind of the people that were like, you know, they were more casual moviegoers, that they watched it and really enjoyed it as well, you know. I think that was kind of one of the first things that was able to kind of transcend the genre, basically, and not only just transcend the genre, but also transcend the fan base.
Yeah. I also think this is the movie that really kind of gave birth to the action figure. I mean, action figures existed before, but I think this is when action figures really became, like, the thing to get as a kid.
I mean, the Star Wars action figure line by Kenner was the thing that actually got the G.I. Joe thing to happen.
Yeah.
Because, you know, prior to that, G.I. Joe was a 12-inch action figure. After that, when they were trying to redesign everything, they really looked at the Star Wars stuff and were like, we should shrink the size down.
Yeah. Like, because, like, because I really do think that without these movies, we would not have, like, how toys are. Like, we wouldn't have, like, G.I. Joe and Masters of the Universe and Transformers and, like, just every other, like, toy. Like, I don't think superheroes would have.
Like, it really brought it into the mainstream, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, like, it really, like, because, you know, like, kids, you know, they would buy toys, but a lot of toys before the action figure were, like, role play toys. Like, get your kid a gun if you're really into, like, gun smoke. Or, like, I want to say a lot of the early GI Joe toys were like toy guns and like army fatigue stuff.
Yeah, because it was an army figure.
Yeah. What? Like, I know that. I know
Yeah,
that.
it was an army figure.
I'm just saying, like the idea of the toy was more like for you to do role play or like to have like little miniature vehicles as a kid with like a bike or like a car.
Whatever do you mean, sir?
Or like Star Trek with like you could buy your own tricorders and phasers and you could actually buy the med kit that McCoy had, because I know Linkar actually has one of those.
Yeah.
But you know,
the merchandising really was kind of
Yeah.
where I think that's really something they pointed out with Spaceballs when they did
Yeah.
the joke about, merchandising, where the real money for the movie is made. Because you really think about how much stuff
yeah.
they sold, and some of it only sold because it had Star Wars on it.
I mean, hell, it's still that way now.
Yeah.
Like, despite all the problems Star Wars has had in the last couple decades, it's still a household name. But and that's also where I think the idea of movies being commercially driven, I think, really started with Star Wars too.
Yeah.
That's the reason why they got Batman '89 off the ground, was just knowing how much merchandise they were going to sell. And it was because of these two movies really that really set the tone for the cinema going audience, for good or for bad.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, like I think that also really set the precedence for sci-fi once again coming back into the light, because like as we talked about before, science fiction had kind of
fizzled out.
Yeah, during the 70s, mostly because of the fact that like we weren't really going to space anymore. But then I argue Star Wars kind of revived. I mean, Star Trek did pretty well, but like I think Star Wars really got to go. And be fair, I'm pretty sure Star Trek: The Next Generation got off the ground because of the fact that the Star Wars movies reunited the idea of like science fiction,
of the sci-fi, of the space western.
Yeah. And also just the fact that like in the 90s we had so many attempts at trying to be the next Star Wars, like Stargate SG-1, Battlestar Galactica,
C-Lab. Is that the show I'm thinking it is?
Oh no, you're right. I'm sorry.
C-Lab.
I thought you were referencing the goofy.
No, the actual live action show.
Yeah. You're
C-Lab.
right. I'm sorry. That's. Sorry. Yeah.
That's a show we've never brought up on this show at all.
Yeah, there's that.
Most people will probably be amazed I know what that is.
Babylon 5. At some point I would like to actually see, because I've heard good things about Babylon 5. But yeah, like, and again, like, so much, like, took from these. Like, when we brought up Highlander, I talked about how much that movie really feels like it's Star Wars, but, like, in a fantasy setting.
Yeah.
Or just... And I know, I won't talk about it too much, but, like, Tokusatsu, so much Star Wars references. Like, just... I'll leave it at that. But, like Japan loves Star Wars, and this movie here even made it more popular. Like, you could not have a Japanese live-action hero without them having a lightsaber, basically. And actually, I argue that's also, again, like, this movie also really kind of invigorated the kind of the cyberpunk feel, too, with, like, especially given how, like, Blade Runner really kind of... Because I'd actually argue there's a little bit of a cyberpunk feel to this movie.
I can see what you mean. I think it's less prominent than other films, like especially like Blade Runner or The Matrix, really, like stuff like that. But I can kind of see what you're getting at.
Particularly when we get to Cloud City with like the kind of tech they have there, and also with like the way cybernetic attachments work in this universe. I think really show that. Now, do you think it was a good idea that they made Darth Vader Luke's father? And I more just kind of...
I do, if only because I think in doing so, they took the character from kind of like a one-dimensional villain figure and really turned it into a character that with multi-dimensions.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So like you go from having, the typical, the villain wearing black.
Yeah.
It was like a Western kind of deal. The heroes wear white, and that's why Luke and Leia are wearing white,
Yeah.
and why Han has, white, but he's wearing black too. That kind of symbolized the conflict. I think like that in 4, as much as I love it and how much as I think it's a perfect movie, I think Vader is not nearly as interesting a villain as he becomes in 5.
Well,
I mean, there's obviously the mystique of him in 4.
Yeah.
Through what is inferred, like you are the last remnant of their ways of the Jedi, stuff like that.
And, like like I was saying in 4, he's technically the dragon to Tarkin in that, because like Tarkin is technically the actual main.
Yeah. Whereas giving him that angle in 5, I think not only did it create another angle of the character, it created like almost a mystique. Like what happened if he's actually Luke's father, what happened to him to make him like this?
Especially also this is where we finally get to see the Emperor, and like how he's, even though Vader himself is ludicrously powerful, he still is second to that guy.
Yeah, so it kind of builds that mystique, that we eventually see the Emperor in 6, you know. And we'll get to it when we get to 6, we'll talk about it more in depth, but I think they really do a good job setting the Emperor up in that.
Yeah.
But with getting back to Vader, I think adding that to the character made the character much, much better and definitely more interesting.
I also think it really works to kind of create this tension that we would see a little bit between Obi-Wan and Luke.
Yeah.
Even though Obi-Wan's dead and he's a ghost, but I really like that.
I'm still here and he's a ghost.
Like that scene when like Luke is laying in like the one bench in the Falcon. He's just like, Ben, why didn't you tell me? Like, or that scene where he feels Vader reaching out to him and he's like, Father. Like those scenes are so powerful with Luke just, and I think it really unsettles Luke. Like come the next film, he almost feels like a completely different character. Not in a bad way.
Well, that was always one thing I really thought the EU did a really good job expanding on, was that period between 5 and 6. Because you really see Luke come to terms with it.
Yeah, particularly Shadows of the Empire. Or at least the comic. I know in the game it's not as much, but...
Yeah, well, and it's been a while since I've read the novel, so...
Because there's like a part where Luke is like trying to avoid Boba and he gets like captured, and I think eventually it leads to him going to that cave you saw in that deleted scene with from Return of the Jedi where he builds his lightsaber. Like there's some interesting stuff there. I don't remember right off the top of my head. It's been forever since I watched the back issues on Shadows of the Empire. But it really shows like Luke's trying to basically complete the training that Yoda was trying to get him to learn. Even though he, for some reason, doesn't go back to Dagobah. Just be like, look, man, I'm sorry. Could you...
Well, to be fair, in the books they explain that. He
sure.
means to, but it's like there's so much going on.
Yeah, like I said, I'm sure that the books do explain it.
So rating wise, out of 10, what would you give this? For me, I think I'm gonna give out another 10 out of 10, because as much as I feel Episode 4 is a perfect movie, I feel like this is a really close contender. I just feel like I like Episode 4 a little more, but this is still a 10 out of 10 for me.
You know what? I think I will give this a 10 out of 10, even though I don't like giving them out, but like, honest to God, it is like one of the best sequels ever made. Like it takes everything from the first film and just
improves
and expands upon it in ways that make sense and are borderline perfect. And again, I think it really also set up the idea that sequels do need to be better than the film that came after it or before it. And I think movies today still struggle with trying to make a good sequel. Except, of course, Spider-Man 2. But, nothing can live up to that. But yeah, like, it just works in every sense of the word. And, like, from the acting to the effects to the sets to John Williams' beautifully made score.
To the writing.
Like, there's never been a movie, I think, before or after that has ever come as close to Empire, with the exception of Episode 4. especially like because when we get to the sequel, like I do like episode 6. Before we, I will have some problems with it, but like I still think it's a good film. I know. Like I promise you, when we get to the part that we're going to talk about, I will not. I have my feelings on it, and I'll get them out if you will let me. Like I won't be as harsh as some people are with it.
Can I get a shirt made that says Ewok Protection Squad?
We'll get to that when we get to episode 6, but yeah, like I love this film, and which says something because this is probably going to be the shortest one of these, but like. Keep in mind, we've already done an episode talking about Empire.
I think with the original trilogy, I think keeping them short is a good thing because it. I feel like with the original, with the prequel trilogy we did, I think like those were longer because we had more critiques.
Yeah.
With these, there's not so much to critique.
No.
Because we think it's such a perfect film.
Yeah. But like, especially because when we go into episode 6, I will have to talk about it because technically, before the prequels, this was considered the bad one. It kind of set up whereas this movie is like the second is always the best. The second film, the next movie we're going to talk about, kind of set up the idea that, well, the third one sometimes can be up and down. But for the record, I still think the trilogy is great, and I do love episode 6. I just have some flaws with it. It's not going to be like the Family Guy episode where they completely missed the point. But, yeah. So, you have any final thoughts before we sign off?
I think we've covered, I think with these, we've done a really good job of just covering everything we got to talk about with these.
Yeah. That film was our last hope.
Oh. There is another.
Yeah, but after that we have to do the holiday special. And the Ewok.
Also, I did get the Ewok movies on tape. They shipped today. They're coming from Ohio, so they're not that far away.
Also,
so we'll be able to get those done.
Yeah. Also, I know the holiday special technically takes place between 4 and 5, but
we're doing these, and then we're gonna do the spin-off stuff because we're kind of going in production order now at this point.
Plus, I have to watch the Ewok movies. I've never seen these.
It's been so long since I sat through them. I'm gonna have to rewatch them first.
Yeah. But
I'm gonna give them to you in those rental cases. Like, here you go.
But anyway, guys.
Remember, there's $1 a day late fee.
Anyway, guys, I think that's gonna wrap up this episode. Like I said, I know this probably because I do think this is like going to be the shortest one because I think we went a little longer with episode 4, but like I said, we've already done this movie before technically.
Yeah, so this is just kind of like you could consider this like a companion to when we went and saw it in the theater.
Yeah, which if we want to make a playlist of this, we could probably put our theater episode in there too. Because one of these days we need to like go sit down and like take the months and put them into like their own playlists.
Yeah. So. But until next time, guys, I'm Average Joe Squad.
And I'm Zongetsu134.
And as always,
we ask you,
remember the hyphen?
And notice integrations.